Hi everybody, Eric Dorward here with Spartan Rocketry Club, and we are going to be finishing, finally, the Green Eggs kit here. So I have finished painting in the last episode. Basically, I spent the entire time taping this fin and most of the body. I have subsequently removed the tape to unmask. It's like undoing a mummy, and it looks pretty good. The green fins, well, they didn't really need a full coat of paint, but they did need to be looked at quickly in a bright light to make sure the coverage was good, and it is. And I didn't really slop anywhere, which is always nice. So this is basically ready. There are a few little things that need to be done in the interim. One is we need to put the decal on. The decal is a sticker this time, so there's that. We got to figure out exactly where we want it, and according to the instructions, it should go between the green and white fin. Well, we thought about this. Remember, we wanted it right in there. So let's do it. This is a self-sticking one. So I have to say, a bunch of the self-sticking ones, I end up needing to crazy glue, like to tack them down after some time has passed. So that's usually a result of not particularly doing the world's greatest job applying it in the first place. Now, it would be great if I could just like suspend this in air to get this right, because it's supposed to be right in between those fins, but that's not really an option. It looks like according to the instructions that it's going to go right in the middle. So let's put it down like this. So I'm smoothing the middles out and then kind of curling it over to get it in place. It's probably a little more this way than would be ideal, but overall, not bad. Okay, so that's taken care of. This is junk. The other two things we need to do are finish the recovery system. So the nose cone has been sitting over here for a while. Now, the instructions in some of the pictures make it look like this part here and the part that I crazy glued inside there are supposed to be painted green as well. But the instructions didn't actually say to do it, and personally, I don't care that much. This looks fine. I mean, maybe it would look nicer if they were green, but they're not, so we will make do. The recovery system then is going to connect these two bits. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the parachute. Now, if you've watched enough of these with me, you know that while you certainly could just attach the parachute as per the instructions, I like to include one of these fishing lures. I have a set here. These ones, these are the original size that I bought. And that eyelet is so tiny. You can get 3 shroud lines if they're brand new through one of those. But it's not fun. I needed a needle eventually to help me with like half of them. So that's not fun. These ones I have a lot of, obviously, and they are perfectly nice. But I tend to go with these kind of medium-sized ones. The only thing that you really need to make sure of, the strings will definitely fit through that eye. That's not going to be a problem. But the clasp part, you need to make sure will easily go through, and this one is fine. Sometimes we end up with the little ring is a whole lot thicker or just oddly shaped, and it doesn't fit. This one is fine though. Looks like I'm going to need some more in the near future. I forget what these fishing barrels come in. They're like rated for size or weight or something like that. I don't remember exactly which size that is, but apparently I'm going to need to find out and then offing. So this is a surprisingly large parachute given the size of the rocket, but remember this thing needs to slow down a surprisingly heavy, potentially heavy anyway, payload. That would be the egg or 2 eggs. So this thing in theory could hold 2 eggs, probably because this end is hollow. So we need a very large parachute to do the job in order to use, well, regardless of how you're going to do this, if you're going to use fishing lure bit or not, you need to gather the shroud lines, make yourself loop. If you were doing this without the barrel, you would just thread it through like so. Since we are going to use the barrel, we're going to thread it through the eye of the barrel. We're going to pull the barrel down the thread a little bit. And then all you need to do is push the barrel up through the loop. And then pull it tight. Pulling all the threads, because some of them looked like they didn't quite tighten as they should have. All right, so that's taken care of. I'm going to get this out of the way. We will attach that later. The last thing we're going to do is worry about the shock cord. As usual, we have a template here that we're going to cut out. And again, this is a pretty big shock cord, both in terms of length and width, because this could potentially be quite the heavy rocket. Now, I've seen people who have decided they're going to make their own shock cords for a variety of reasons, and there's plenty of reason why you wouldn't want to use this. And the rule of thumb, oddly enough, is that you really can't make them too long. This one is about a yard. That's probably plenty. But one potential problem if you have a short shock cord is that the top part and the bottom part could smack into each other. And since, again, we are dealing with a potentially fragile payload, it sounds like something we would want to avoid. Okay. So, glue in section 2, shock cord goes in, fold it over, repeat the process with section 3. This is a pretty big mount, so usually I do like 3 stripes. I did 4 in the last, and that seemed to be a good amount, not too much, not too little. Do try to keep the shock cord centered when you are doing this. So you don't want it coming out the side. That would defeat at least part of the purpose of having this multi-fold approach. Okay. That's set. Now while this is still wet, we are going to attach it. I don't like to do these too far ahead of time, because if you do, then they get all crispy as the glue dries out. And I would like to be able to still manipulate it, certainly to have it flex like that, to conform to the interior of the rocket, making sure that my can that had the glue on it is as clean as I can get it. Okay, so into the rocket, this one should be pretty easy since we have a lot. It's a pretty wide body, a lot to work with. But again, I'm going to run it on the opposite side from the launch lug. There's no particular reason for that, but that's just what I'm going to do. Then push it in as far as you can, and you'll forgive my middle finger is the longest one, so that's the one that's going to be doing the pushing. And I'm pushing it up against the wall of the rocket. It's a good idea to get this. I mean, obviously, if we really, really wanted something mounted all the way down at the motor mount, there is a way of doing that. We haven't chosen that approach, but we do want it sufficiently far down the rocket body so that the nose, first of all, needs to fit. Not the nose, but the top part needs to fit sufficiently. So we have to get at least, it has to go at least that far in. Otherwise, it'll get snagged. I have it like another inch, maybe half an inch past that, so that's good. All right, that needs to dry before I completely pack things up, because I know that I kind of pushed it along like this, so there's definitely some glue on the interior of the rocket body wall that needs to dry. It would be nice if, I'm going to change the way it's oriented so the shock cord doesn't get stuck in the glue. Last little bits though, we need to attach the shock cord, which a few knots here will do the trick. Like 3 should be plenty. This is a nice fresh shot cord, unlike some of the shot cords in the classic, let's call them, kit selection that I've used elsewhere. This is nice and springy. It's always nice. Okay, I'm going to trim carefully, trim most of that off. There we go. A little bit of scrap. And here's the parachute. Undoing the clasp. Threading through and then reattaching the clasp. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do it the other way. I'm going to put this on the outside and the shot cord on the inside. One is because that was surprisingly difficult, but also because if I ever want to remove this, it'd be nice to have ready access to it. Yeah, there we go. You might think, why on earth would you ever want to remove the parachute? Well, one is you could damage it, which I've done, of course, and need to replace the thing entirely. The other reason is I have done, not this one, of course, but other models where you'd want to replace this parachute with a smaller one, maybe, because it's a windier day and you don't want it to drift as far, and maybe you're not flying it with an egg. Or a bigger parachute if you're trying to go for like a competition duration flight. So there you have it. All right, green eggs. It's done. This, well, I didn't bother to clear coat this. I'm not going to because it's just that one decal. It's not really much to it. Everything's glossy already. If it had water slide decals, I probably would have clear coated it with the decal on it. But again, I'm not going to bother here with our stick-on one. And I'm probably going to have to tack that down with crazy glue at some point anyway. So that's great. Looking forward to flying it. Oh, yeah, flying it. So the egg goes in here. I mean, you could put literally, well, not literally, but you could put many kinds of things in here. If you want to fly it with the egg, there's not much stopping it from going up or down. And certainly, I mean, I suppose the yellow part might be narrow enough to stop the egg, but I personally would not want to rely on that. And even if it were, there's a lot of real estate for it to be going backwards and forwards. So if you want to fly an egg in this one, you will need to pack it. Shredded newspaper, any kind of like shredded paper might be a decent idea. That's probably your best bet. So, yeah, there you go. All right, very exciting. I will see you in the next video.